Shannon's not gonna make it.
Are you ready?
Shannon's
Mhm.
on the right side of my vice chair.
I call to order the June 25th, 2019 meeting of the City of Delaware Shade Tree Commission. Could we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Barger? Mr. Eddy?
Yes.
Mr. Carey?
Here.
Mr. Glissman?
Here.
Mr. Wolber?
Here.
Ms. Woodmeek?
Here.
Vice Chairwoman Brewster? And Chairwoman Wright.
Here. I'm seeking a motion to excuse our members.
So moved. A motion to excuse the absent members. Now, does it include the student or not, or we can add her for the time being?
Right, I didn't even call her name since she's graduated.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Um,
Do we have a second?
Oh, second.
Mr. Eddy?
Yes.
Mr. Carey?
Yes.
Mr. Glissman?
Yes.
Mr. Wolber?
Yes.
Ms. Woodmeek?
Yes.
Chairwoman Wright.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, on the agenda is first approval of the motion summary for the meeting that was held February 26, 2019. I guess they didn't approve it at the April meeting? Okay.
We had too many people abstain, I believe, if I
Okay.
remember correctly.
Yeah, because people hadn't been here.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
There weren't
We
enough
had
that
too
had been
many
here.
absences,
Yeah,
and one
that had been
person
the-
abstained.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
You are welcome to approve them if you've read the minutes and you're comfortable with that. That is up to you, though, entirely.
Okay, okay. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I move we approve the February 26th meeting, minutes of the meeting.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Eddy?
Yes.
Mr. Carey?
Yes.
Mr. Glissman?
Yes.
Mr. Wolber?
Yes.
Ms. Woodmeek?
Yes.
Chairwoman Wright.
Yes.
Thank you.
Same for the motion summary from the April 23rd, 2019 meeting.
Motion to approve as recorded and transcribed.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Eddy?
Yes.
Mr. Carey?
Yes.
Mr. Glissman?
Yes.
Mr. Wolber?
Yes.
Ms. Woodmeek?
Yes.
Chairwoman Wright.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now on the agenda, we have a moment for public comments, and I am happy to say we have someone from the public here. So would you come up to the desk? And I think you need to state your name and maybe address, and then.
Correct, please.
My name is Nancy Flory, and I live at 223 Troy Road.
Please sit down.
Thank you. Thank you. I moved to Delaware 4 years ago. Rather unwillingly. I wasn't eager about it. I needed to be closer to family because of health issues. As I was driving in and we were looking, as we were looking for housing, there was a large billboard that was promoted by the health department. And I know I'm speaking to the to the Shade Tree Commission, but it was a billboard by the health department, encouraging people to eat well. And I thought to myself, how profound. Someone in this city genuinely cares enough to put money behind the subject. And I continued to see over the years the health department's encouraging in print, in format, coming up the stairs, in mailings, encouragement for people to pay attention to their health. And I'm really proud of this community in so many ways. I've come to love being in Delaware. Knowing that it is a shade tree city is also very important to me. And that the fact that this Shade Tree Commission exists, I think is fabulous. I'm here to talk about what I see as an emerging, urgent problem of volcano mulching. This is not just limited to Delaware. Dublin has a huge problem as well. The street that lines the Memorial Tournament is all severely volcano mulch. Just past the sign announcing that it's a shade tree. entire neighborhoods are volcano mulch. I recognize that that's likely the result of a contractor. So there are commercial interests involved. I doubt that any of you are, mulch providers, but there are commercial interests. I recognize that. But the vast majority of people and businesses that I've spoken to, because I have begun to do that, I feel it's urgent to speak out. It's an epidemic. If this were a health epidemic, the health department would be all over it. And I recognize that it's a seemingly long-term problem. But volcano mulching is so severe. I discovered it as I have learned about the profound effects on the trees on my own property. I guess I assume that all of you know about the damage that it does. Short-term, long-term, the wet spring that we have had has certainly exacerbated it. I believe most homeowners do not know what they are doing. In spite of the information that has been put out there, I've read it. The Shade Tree Commission has published it in the paperwork, but I realize that people don't often read the fine details. Sometimes it's monkey see, monkey do. People aesthetically like it. If they're being hired by contractors, they have extra mulch. Hey, let's do it. And even in areas where people should know. I'm really concerned. I'm concerned about the future for Delaware, for our trees, for the safety as these trees then inevitably decline. It becomes a financial issue, as trees will have to be replaced. So I guess I'm here to simply say we need as many voices as possible speaking out about it. As a community commission that is established and respected, you have a voice that some of the rest we simply don't have. And I'm here to implore you to use that voice to the best of your ability.
Thank you. It is something we've talked about, and we certainly could do a better job of trying to get the word out if that's the right way to do it. Anybody else would like to respond to Mrs. Flores?
It's nerve-wracking, isn't it?
Well, the Shade Tree Commission has been familiar with this problem for many, many years. None of us encourages volcano mulching. We laugh, we giggle, we ridicule it whenever
Yes.
we see it and hear about it. But Susan is absolutely right. Right, and the double sense of pun intended. Her last name is Susan, right. We need to, I think it's a matter of education. We need to get the word out. The Shade Tree Commission, according to our charter, does have a duty to educate the public. It is part of our mission. So, I would encourage the Shade Tree Commission, and I'm perfectly happy, I'm hereby volunteering to spearhead such an effort, to maybe get a letter to the editor, to put something on the website, maybe we can put something on the next water bill. I think the city would be amenable to something like that.
That's a really good idea.
Because
Everybody
everybody in the
gets
city
that.
gets the water bill. Now, do people look at it? Do people read? That's of course a different question.
Well, in the newsletter that goes out occasionally, once a quarter or
Quarterly.
more of it, and that would be, because people do read it, at least they glance at it,
Yeah.
and that might be a
I
good.
believe the quarterly one just came out, so it might be better to have Ted and Doug talk to Lee Yoakum.
About putting it on
Um,
the water bill?
Actually, I think the videos on social media seem to
Yes,
get a lot
Facebook
of
video, yes.
traction. It'd be
That-
something very
Yeah.
easy.
I'd like to propose that next year, in my household, we do mulching, and I think everybody does in the spring usually. You're
Spring and
cleaning up
fall,
your yard.
yeah.
So that we look ahead to next year we have Arbor Day and First Friday usually back to back, that we target that period of really making that sort of our emphasis.
We can add that to
Yeah.
agendas. for discussions
Yeah.
too.
That might be, not that publicity about the issue now is not good, but that might be a better time to really target homeowners' attention toward that issue, so.
Is there a reason why we couldn't do it first Friday towards the fall, which is the second time that people a lot of times add mulch going into the winter after the end of the summer? Perhaps do a first Friday thing aimed geared towards mulching? Or print out a handout about mulching? Or do we just not want to add something else to our agenda? as
No,
far as-
I'm not opposed to it. We end up getting, we start looking for volunteers and we oftentimes fall short.
Fall
We don't
short.
have anything to give away like seedlings. So
Well, that's true.
That makes it.
It does help when you're handing
Yeah.
you something for
Yeah.
free. Do you have any suggestions, our city arborist?
Again, I think that the video education series that we talked about doing one of those to put onto the website, so people would have access to that. And then when we plant trees, typically we don't mulch them. The city, when we replace a tree, we don't mulch them for various reasons. One is cost, and two is it's, every homeowner has a different type of mulch they put on their trees. So we won't mulch them. We'll let the homeowner do their own mulching if they even do it. So, but they do receive the pamphlet that we put on their door that tells them that they've gotten a tree and please take care of it and water it and don't volcano mulch it, and certain ways to take care of it. So, I would say that I have seen maybe a decrease in volcano mulching in Delaware over the last few years, from when I came here 7 years ago till to now. I think the word is getting out a little bit. I think not only just through your efforts and that, but also I think amateur gardeners are finding this stuff out on their own, that's not the way to mulch, and they understand that it's causing troubles to the trees. Contractors, new developments and things like that, they typically hardly put any mulch on the trees because they don't want to spend the money
They don't want to spend the money.
for the cost on them anyway. So it's usually the homeowners that just don't know, they just don't know any better at this point in time. So I think just the education process alone is the best way to go.
So we can put videos on our website? We've talked about it. and
We've
then
done, I
I'm sure
mean, Lee Yoakum, he does the community support for that. He often does videos. We just did one for recycling, how to recycle properly. Most of us just throw it in there and separate it, but we don't clean it out and all that, to explain. So, and we had a lot of hits on that. So I think people
So
are
we need to
more-
involve Lee?
Well,
He'll be happy.
yes, and yes, I think so.
I will say also with the upcoming fall, we're going to do our fall planting. So it may be a good idea to
Oh, maybe that'd be the time.
put a
Film it.
video out there, maybe hit November.
And once we do a video, we can replay it and, we don't have to.
We could
just-
bring it up again in the spring.
Sure, or do another one, whatever, but, they're short and simple. It's pretty, people are more apt to watch that than to read anymore.
Yeah.
That's true.
But true. Sadly.
But that is one way we could talk about the water bill. I don't think most people look at all those messages on the side anymore.
Many do, I do, but
Well, I
of
do.
course not everybody does, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes images stick with people,
Mhm.
something that has a great big red circle with a slash through it.
Yeah.
Really
Of a
jumps,
volcano
and
march.
people look to see what it is. And
Mhm.
sometimes those
Do's and
kinds of
don'ts.
images are more effective than even words.
Right, and that would be something good for, like you were mentioning, the quarterly report. It's just,
Yeah.
I believe that probably went out, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like something we need to plan a little bit for.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate the fact that you care enough to come.
Thank you.
We don't get a lot of it.
A quick question for Doug, if I may, as a follow-up. When people volcano mulch their private trees, of course, there's nothing the city can do about it, other than provide education. But if and when the city sees street trees being volcano mulched, does the city interfere? Does it remove some of that excess mulch, or do we leave it alone, or what's the policy, if I may ask?
Typically, it's hands-off. We don't, if the opportunity arises, we'll educate the homeowner on it, but it's typically hands-off. That's, that's it's our tree, but they're taking care of it. So, occasionally I'll stop and move mulch off of a tree, put it out around the outer edges of it. But, the whole idea is we don't want, a homeowner upset or a resident upset that we're messing up the aesthetics of their home's appearance. So,
Could we print a leave behind, so when we see that, we could leave a little note that said, this is not the healthiest thing to do for your tree?
we could, how you would, whether or not that would be through the forestry department or through zoning, or how that would go out to the public is, something that would have to be determined.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of man hours, or person hours, I should say, to distribute
I'm
stuff
just
like
saying,
that.
like, I'd run up and stick one on somebody's door that said,
Gotcha.
here, you shouldn't do this.
Yeah, I have. at
Not you shouldn't do
times-
this, but this is
I
the
have at
proper
times
way.
in my neighborhood removed a little bit of mulch
I've done
from
the same.
from the boles of the
I'm
base of
guilty
the
of it
trees.
too.
But sometimes what I find is sometimes the trees are just planted too high. So sometimes what you see as egregious volcano mulching is sometimes a tree that was planted 3 inches too high. That happens from time to time, and prior to Doug's presence, but I'm sure we've done a lot better with that since. But we had a window without a city arborist, and a lot of building all at once, and so I think we've gotten better at that too, from what I've seen.
That's a good segue into the arborist report, which is the next thing on the agenda. And we have the report for the 2-month period, April and May, in our
Yes.
packet. Is there anything on that report, Doug, that you'd like to draw to our attention?
Not particularly, just the straight facts of we did only plant 5 trees this spring, but that's typically our normal spring. And the fall will be, I think the last count was up to about 78 trees, I think, for fall planting, so, for replacements at this point in
Mhm.
time. So that number's starting to go up as the summer's going on and
Yeah.
I'm removing trees, so.
So the pruning, is that a targeted street or neighborhood, or is that just on
That's
request?
all over the place, kind of.
By request or by,
Both.
Observation?
Both. We've started some pruning down in the Stratford Woods on streets down there, and then also out in Lexington Glen, and also in, I'm sorry, I can't ever remember that. What is the neighborhood where Firestone is?
Rock,
That requires what?
where,
Um,
Delaware Court.
Sunnyview.
Sunnyview.
In the
Oh,
Sunnyview
Sunnyview
Farms
Farms.
area. So we're still working with the zoo, providing browse, so that's,
What is the primary service request that you've seen in the last 2 months? What,
pruning last 2
for
months.
pruning
Mhm.
specifically? Not like storm damage or,
No, there's been an uptick maybe of tree viability, looking at trees and determining whether or not they're alive or not. And
Okay.
quite honestly, I mean, most of them are dead or a doornail, so it's not really
Yeah.
it goes on there as viability, but when you get there, you're like, oh yeah, well,
That's dead.
It's just, yeah, it's just, you can't get everywhere in the city. So I welcome the residents calling and sending in, service calls, because other words, we wouldn't know. There's,
There was a woman, were you standing there, at the Now Festival? A woman came up who has a home on William Street, and her tree was removed. And she was making plans to plant her own tree. And I mentioned to her, I gave her your name, I didn't have your phone number, but there was a discussion at one time of replacing the street trees that have been removed, actually planting them in the private property side. I said, I don't know where that stands, but I asked her to call you and follow up. So I don't know if she has or if she might, but that's just.
I
a heads
don't
up.
recall someone calling
Okay.
and asking about
She
that.
may still do that. I think she had a tree in mind that she wanted to plant. Were you there? when
No,
she was
I
talking?
missed
Okay.
that.
She had a tree in mind that she wanted to plant, and I don't remember the variety, but the last word was willow. So I said, well, I know we have some preferred species that we would, if the city does replace the trees, we would plant. So just an FYI.
Well, yeah, and willow is specifically there's an ordinance against it specifically.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That may
So-
have been worth mentioning too.
All right, thank you, Doug. And then staff comments.
Can
Oh,
I?
I'm sorry.
Ask Doug a question? What was the first one? Okay, you mentioned storm damage. We had a number of storms and tornado warnings, etc. Was there any significant storm damage to our
No.
public trees?
No.
No, okay. I
No.
didn't see much, yeah, so
We,
we fared well.
We had, the night of the tornadoes, I guess, we had 2 tree limbs come down, and that was it for the night, so.
That's amazing.
And both of them were in, one was on the 23 on-ramp off from William Street, and one was way out on, I'm sorry, off Liberty Road, the Slack Road, so.
Slack, no?
So we're not seeing the destruction in the city itself. I think, we've been very aggressive taking down trees that, we feel that are a danger.
Yeah,
So,
sounds like it's showing if you don't lose any during storms, that you're reaping the benefits.
might lose a branch or two here, the silver maples in Uptown and in Northwest neighborhood starting to show a little wear and tear on
Yeah.
them. But
One last question, if I
Mhm.
may. In Sunnyview Farms, where Tom and I live on Leewood, 3 streets, were removed. One of which was dead as a doornail. I brought it to your attention last summer. But the other 2 seem to be healthy. So were they? What was the rationale behind
On the
removing
court?
3 trees in a row?
on the court,
On the I
Leewood.
think it's Leewood and Trestle
Tree Court.
First, yeah.
That, we had a large branch come out of, those were pear trees. All 4 of them were Bradford pears. We removed 5 trees total.
Okay.
The one was dead, that was at the neighbor's house across
Yeah.
the street. That was an add-on. When we got there, we were like, oh, well, that one's dead, so we'll take that one down. The other one was the homeowner had asked us, we had come and inspected the trees. I found a lot of cracks in the branching on them, and it made more sense to take them down now than to have to come out, call crews out to come take them down
Mhm.
in the middle of a storm because the tree's blocking Leewood Drive, so.
So you determined that the removal of the trees was warranted.
Yeah, I will tell you, if I find an issue with a pear tree, it's coming down. I'm not
Okay.
gonna
All right.
mess around with them because they break and snap off way too easily. We don't have tons and tons of them like Westerville had, but we have enough out there that it could be, and they're getting to the age that they're starting to show their stress fractures and starting to show the rot that goes on right in the crotches of the branches. And that particular one, the largest one, actually came down and probably missed the front corner of her house by about 5 inches when it came down, so that was a pretty easy decision to make on those trees. And again, there may be other ones out there that have the same issues, but we're not aware of them because we just can't see everything, can't see them all. The homeowner brought those to our attention, and we appreciate her did, and that way we can take care of them. And there is plans that we're gonna put in, we're gonna replace those 4 trees with 3 trees. Because of sight lines. We're starting to look at the sightline triangles a lot more on these turn lanes, on these turns.
So what,
Thank you.
do you have a diameter when they tend to fail?
They're getting to be about 14 to 16 inches, you're starting to see a lot
Okay,
of
so they're
cracks.
so pretty big when they
They're pretty
start to
mature,
fail.
yeah.
All right.
I have a question that an acquaintance of mine who lives on Grandview Avenue, once he heard that I was on the Shade Tree Commission, asked this question. So Grandview Avenue, and he's lived there 40 plus years.
I can answer
raised
your question.
trees?
It's a drainage swale, and
Yeah.
that's why we can't plant in it.
But he said something about it had been filled in. It's still
It's still
an issue?
considered a drainage swale.
Okay,
Yeah.
still,
Still
okay.
got one.
I promised to get an answer to that, so I will let him know.
I've had that question asked
Oh, I'm sure.
about a dozen times.
I'm sure. It's just one of those odd streets when they put it in, I think in the 60s, that they,
Yeah. I know there's no trees on it, so
Yeah.
I knew
Yeah.
where the question was going.
yeah, okay.
I grew up on that street, and it was always a drainage.
Did it used to not have sidewalks, or did it always have?
It always had
It always had sidewalks, just
It
no
always
tree
had
lawn.
sidewalks.
Yeah.
Just on the follow-up on the pear, and it's probably a biased question because I live on Leewood. Did you look at the other pear trees on that street by chance? or-
We actually have removed 5 or 6 other pear trees
Okay.
from that street
That's
in the
it.
past. Just for the fact that they've dropped huge limbs out of them.
Yeah, that was just I was asking because my next door neighbor has 2 in his front yard, and I mean you're more of an expert obviously than I am, but they don't. This spring they didn't look very good compared to the past couple of years. So I don't know if you looked at the rest of them at all, but I would imagine got to be close to that. You said about 14 to 16 in diameter. Got to be close to that, I would say. So.
The multi stems that you can see the rot starting, and they'll start
Right.
developing some some fissures right along it, and then a good gust of wind comes along and takes one side of the tree out. It'll just
Yeah.
crack it right off. So
Yeah.
Are those still being sold in nurseries?
you have one more year you can buy a pear
Ah.
tree in Ohio. And
Enough
then-
already.
Now, you'll still be able to buy the fruit tree, but
Well, yeah, but
But you won't be able
those
to-
Bradfords.
They will still offer the Aristocrat and the Cleveland Select, won't
No.
they? No?
no pear trees at all.
No.
Only fruit bearing, only the actual edible fruit bearing pear tree.
You haven't seen any problems with the Aristocrats or anything, have you?
They all have, the main problem is the seeds will all revert back to the calorie pear. And then also, I have seen the Aristocrats and Cleveland Selects they're not as, I guess, fragile as the Bradford pear is, but they're all getting to the point that once they get to a larger size, they tend to snap. It's just another example of, it's a learning curve. Every decade has a tree that everybody wanted to plant. And in the 70s, it was pears or the 70s and 80s was pears and skyline honey locusts, and now we're paying the cost for it because the sidewalk damage and the invasive species of the calorie pear.
Any other questions for Doug? And the next thing on the agenda is staff comments, so if they're
Elaine?
the only other staff
I don't
person.
count.
Tell us, update everybody about Linda, if you would,
Well, she retired.
as of today.
was her last day,
Oh, wow.
and I'm a little sad, emotionally sad myself over it, but excited for her, and she's got some travel plans already, and
She's ready
I
to-
assume the city replaced the position, and will that person be?
not, they did not do another, they changed the position, so
Okay.
it's now another AA position,
Okay.
administrative assistant. So, be working with Ted on, I'm sure I'll be helping like I've been doing with the Sign Up Geniuses and things to figure out who will take over Linda's role.
Okay. Will that person be coming to the meetings or?
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not. And Linda, I think in the end didn't necessarily need to come either. I think she just enjoyed it and stuff. So.
She had her hands in so many things that
Yeah, she did.
it's kind of
She just
irreplaceable
Yeah.
at that level.
Yeah.
All right, member comments? Why don't we start down here with Rebecca?
Yeah, that's it.
I have no burning issues, to be honest with you.
Okay. Any
Believe it or
smoldering,
not.
smoldering issues?
Smoldering issues. No, I think the video, if people watch the videos, I think that's a good way to go.
I think it is.
I think that's my sense of that. I mean, just because it's potentially easier than creating a pamphlet or a handout, and
Probably more effective.
yeah, maybe. So it's a black box for us though, so we're gonna need our handheld as I guess my member comment for the first one especially,
Yeah,
until we
okay.
get a feel for exactly how it all works
Yeah.
and whatnot. So,
Okay.
and we've heard about it enough, and maybe we have a little arm twisting here, which is helpful too, and maybe a little hand holding, and then we'll be off to the races, hopefully.
Thank you. I'll just use my moment here to mention that we did participate in well, since our last meeting, I guess we've had Arbor Day. We've had First Friday, in which we gave away approximately probably 250 seedlings, is that correct?
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah,
We give away most of them?
most of them there. And then last weekend, we had the Now Festival, where we had a few seedlings remaining that we had potted, left over from the First Friday. We gave those away. So, I'm just looking for feedback from our outreach efforts and participation. Is it something we are going to continue to do?
Was that a question?
Yeah, it's
If-
sort
are
of a
we going to
question.
continue? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the Now Watershed Festival on June 22nd very much. It's a chance to interact with the public. They have questions. There are also other nonprofits there and for-profit people, like, for example, Natives in Harmony, is a plant store in Marengo. And you can talk to other people about trees and plants and learn, and interact and network, and I think that's wonderful.
Okay.
So I think it's definitely worth it.
We did have two people commented that they had gotten trees from the First Friday that failed. One of them was Paul Olin, and I know he knew how to take care of
knows
it.
how to take care of it.
And there was another person that,
I also
You-
took
was it
one
you?
home,
Okay,
and
okay.
we tried to take good care of it, and we were not
Yeah.
successful.
I actually
Oh.
had the same problem.
Yeah, the trees that were left over, and we potted them up, and the number of them that reflushed was relatively low, so the percent viability of those wasn't very good. So
Was it
Um,
was it the variety, or was it what we were
Well,
planting versus what we've used in the
they
past?
were.
These
No,
white
there were white
right?
pines, and we quite
Yeah.
most often give away white pines. These were, the tags on them said they were from North Carolina. And typically, they're from Pennsylvania. So that might have been something that may have been in cold storage a little too long, or who knows? I mean, they looked really good, just to glance at them. That may be worth getting a mix of species, or maybe trying a different species next year to see. I don't know. Now it's beggars and choosers, right? They're free to us.
Yeah.
Soil and Water pays for them and gets them in. So maybe we should give give them that feedback, and I'll follow up on that. I haven't even thought about it, to be honest with you. I should let them know that our success rate wasn't very good and see if they had similar reports from that seed lot of white pine. And maybe it's a lot issue or something, or maybe it was something that I did or didn't do after they gave them to us. I don't know. I thought I handled them
I
similar
actually thought
to
these
years
looked
in the
better
past,
than, I thought
but-
these looked better than either last year's or 2 years ago, that they just
So,
didn't.
Yeah,
didn't
you're right.
look
It's worth
good.
following up on.
Yeah, okay,
You're
thank
right
you.
about that.
Tom G? Oh,
Um,
Tom W?
Tom W. Arbor Day was a long time ago, but here's an article that the Delaware Gazette published on our Arbor Day event with a picture. Just for your records, I realize not everybody reads the Delaware Gazette, so something to file away.
It was good to involve that environmental science class. Were you happy? You were the one who wanted to include a school group or a school, Doug, was that?
Yeah, it was very nice.
Okay,
Very good.
sorry I couldn't make it.
Doug was an excellent teacher. He explained the process and the steps, and welcomed student participation. So I think that was effectively done. Students learned something.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Tom G?
Yeah, it was just a curious question, I guess, Doug. And I'm not familiar with the area, but we didn't approve, so I'm assuming there was no trees at the new food truck depot that where they just reconstructed and put in, some pavement for parking. That there was nothing there previously or whatnot.
There were no trees.
Okay.
They did. I'm thinking they did do some small landscape beds. They did put in. They did do some landscape beds.
There's a little bit of a
around the retention,
biosphere,
around the
I
retention
believe.
pond.
Yeah, but no
Okay.
trees. It looks pretty bare.
That's
yeah.
what. I was just there today, and I know in here we get some of those plants, and I don't remember seeing one. And yeah, there's not that there's any room for any trees there really, but I was just.
It is
wondering
kind of
if,
a blank.
Yeah, if they'd taken any
Empty
down,
space.
closer to, I don't even know, forget what that road is, but makes sense.
Yeah, there were no trees removed from the site.
That's it.
Mr. Eddy?
I don't really have anything that I'm concerned about. I appreciate you coming, and I think we ought to act on that with the video. And Tom's idea about the water bill, I thought was a good one, but I don't ever see water bills. My wife does. So I don't know if anybody pays attention to them or not. So, but it sounded, everybody gets one.
That's true.
Is that something we should put on, what would be our next meeting? August, right?
Yes, August.
I'll send an email out
Okay.
to staff to see how to make that happen.
Okay, thank you.
Well, independently from all that, I could still, draft a letter and send it off as an individual to the newspaper or next door or whatever, to spread the word.
Sure.
Okay, sounds like a plan. The next thing on our agenda are the plan reviews.
We'll comment. We really only have Stronghold Construction and the Preserve a Quail Pass. The others are more kind of informational. But
Okay.
we can look at them if you want to.
Yep.
The Ohio Wesleyan is basically their demolition plan for the removal of the trees and the tree inventory that they have done, and I confirmed. And I actually confirmed, looked at every tree. And then Stronghold Construction.
Can I ask one other question about, it was several months ago when we looked at the plans for the property that is just west of the old observatory, sort of abutting Ohio Wesleyan?
The hotel?
The
Yeah.
Wesleyan Inn, yeah.
Right, so I know that had some changes to the plan. Did we approve that site plan before the
Yes.
changes?
No, we approved the actual changed plan.
Okay, okay. I just couldn't remember the
We,
timing.
we looked at the first one and approved it, and then it got shot down, and not that plan didn't get shot down, but the whole idea got shot down in city council. And
Yep.
then they came back to city council with another,
With the revised?
Yes.
Okay, great.
And bought
Okay.
more
and that
property,
we
right?
approved.
Yeah. They brought Jason.
Bought neighbors.
Yeah.
No, they didn't, no.
Okay,
Same size, yeah.
same size.
I
Okay.
think they changed the driveway?
The driveway.
It was a
the driving and
zoning
parking,
issue.
wasn't it? Yeah.
They couldn't have a parking lot in a residential area, so they had to reconfigure.
Usually after the plan. Okay. All right, thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Well, I need to apologize to you. I forgot to show up Saturday
Oh.
for that takedown.
Well-
I don't know what I was thinking about, but I just completely forgot.
Well, David stayed, pretty much the entire time, so we were okay,
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Glad to hear.
Well, actually, they don't.
I can take that off my guilt list.
Okay, yes. Susan,
No.
for the record, Stan Eddy just apologized for missing
Oh.
the Watershed Festival. He forgot about it.
Yeah, I completely forgot that. I'm sorry.
That's okay, we did okay.
We'll see.
He always leaves.
This
is- No, this is the Strong Home Construction.
Yeah, I was
This is along London Road 42. This is the fuel depot. So this is the where the farm is that sits back
Yeah.
behind the fuel depot. They're gonna basically build a building out there. They haven't. They haven't removed any trees. There's no trees, but these are the ones that they're providing.
Is this correct? Thornless honey oak? Is that a,
No, it should be
Locust.
Locust, yeah.
should I,
Yeah, I think all we really need to do is just look at what their choices are
Yeah.
gonna be and say that they're okay or not.
Yeah.
They didn't really label them
oh, I gotcha, yeah.
where they were gonna put them at. I think this was their way of, hey, we don't know what trees we're gonna be able to get,
So it's gonna be some of these.
It's
So
gonna
it'll be one of
these,
these,
yes.
or some of these, yeah.
If this was in the right of way, I would have required them to actually say what trees they were gonna plant, so.
Two poplar. Black one. All right, so this is. What is this supposed to be?
This is a house
Residence.
currently.
Okay. So these are existing things that we're
Yeah.
gonna deal with. All right, well. If they wanna plant black walnuts next to their parking lot, that's their fault, I guess. That's a good idea.
that they would wanna plant
Well, Or hickories for that matter. Hickories are drier, which is nice, but, they might dent your car if they fall from the top.
Yeah.
And tulip poplar, we don't plant very much of unless there's a bunch of stuff around it because they snap
Yeah.
in high winds, so.
They do, they don't.
I would recommend against those three, personally. Maybe the hickory, I might let the hickory
I
slide,
would
but
let
the
the
tulip
hickory,
poplar.
but the tulip poplar and the black walnut.
I'd probably say no to. Plus, with Thousand Cankers, if black walnuts are not in a good site, it's liable to go down eventually, so.
What we can say is not recommended.
Well, right, if this is if it's a
Right.
private development, we can't
Yeah.
say.
Right.
Tulip, poplar, black walnut, and hickory, or leave
Hickory's
hickory alone?
fine.
Okay. Okay,
I printed off my program, I got it again. Putting it in my pocket and it gets destroyed, but I saw some lace work gowns at some point. So.
Lace bark elm.
That is one that we're recommending not to plant.
Oh, really?
Which
Yeah.
elm is it?
because of structural issues and invasiveness. Chinese lace bordeaux. They're neat trees.
I
like them.
saw
Yeah,
one and
I like the
I,
look of them.
and I didn't know
that, but I didn't know they were invasive.
They're invasive in some places. They're invasive in Wisconsin. State of Wisconsin lists them as invasive. A lot of invasive potential. They self-pollinate.
I guess this isn't
Oh.
actually
So that's
a
kind of a
landscape
problem.
plan,
Yeah.
but it's identical to the last ones that they've done, phase 3. The back section, Mill Road. Mill Road crossing, Mill Road crossing. And then Glen Road is gonna be the back entrance.
these already exist,
That's
right?
Right.
And it's just their typical.
We're gonna need that.
Oh, you're gonna need that one back?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Oh, it's got.
These are all-
I'll just scan. Oh, it's so useful. Here.
It's upside down.
Apparently I won't make myself useful. It's been that kind of day.
All right.
These are gonna be honey locusts, these are elms.
We got 2 or 3 on there, too.
Poplars are pretty, they just don't hold up to the stone.
Yeah. If they're in clusters with other things, I'd be inclined to let them go, but if they're by
Yeah.
themselves, then probably not that great idea.
This is just a continuation of outing as they did on
Yeah.
the run.
Have they maintained that? It's been about 3 years. hasn't it?
They're doing a pretty good job of it. Retention pond areas. With them. Then, does it have the quantities on there? It does not.
What that I can see.
They just have leather codes for a reason.
So you'd have to go through and count all the maples that they're planting, but I don't see a lot.
Those are plant lists.
Just the different designs for whatever the variety of the ones called breezewood, wildwood, or willowwood, and then the silent garage for kickings.
Are they carrying the same trees throughout, or are they making neighborhoods with different trees?
Most, I do believe they did put honey locust in there, one of the apartment islands. It's separating islands, I believe these are all honey locusts. That's their plan guide.
So is this, or any of these gonna be right-of-way trees?
There are no right-of-way trees on
Because
this.
this is all private
Yeah.
streets. It would be nice if they planted something other than a monoculture of honey locust. I guess we can share with them our not recommended list. And say, oh, we have.
I think what we did is, we'll go back and look at the original plans in the very first phase. There was something that we brought up to them that we did recommend not to do. they still just want to have it.
Okay.
They totally ignored any effects.
Does this need an approval, or are you just showing this?
No, it needs approval.
It needs approval.
On this one. Oops, sorry.
Well, so what happens if we tell them they can't plant something?
You can't, because it's private property, you can't, I mean, unless it's a willow tree or.
Then why do we have to approve it?
To show that you looked at it and said that whatever recommendations you wanted to make on it.
Okay,
Should
so
we
if we
make
have recommendations, we
recommendations?
need to make them on here
Yes.
now?
Yeah.
Okay.
We should, yeah.
All right, and then they
So-
can disregard them if they like.
Yes.
Okay, it's clear.
So do we recommend that they not get so deep into one?
I would suggest making the changes on those species lists.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Check the date, it came out stands the 2nd, not the 25th.
I can do it. June 25th, right?
Okay.
Sort of say,
Okay, so that one did, just, it was light on this
Yeah.
one. I handwrote it on.
diversify. And then
Do you still need it?
tulip tree, depends on where they're at.
If
really.
they're a
Alright.
standalone,
R-E-C-O-M-M.
OMMENTED.
Right, we should have some.
I think they get the idea.
okay.
Sorry.
Approved with changes, or approved with recommendations, preserve trail pass phase 3. I apologize, I didn't print these up. There's actually 3 parts to this. This is Springer Woods, where they're gonna start their expansion to the north of the existing of Aaron Drive, where it dead ends right now. This is Springer Woods Boulevard comes this way. So it's gonna start here and run to the north. And these are all, if you got your package, you saw, you would have blown up what they're taking.
I tried to look at it, I was like, never mind.
Ornamental?
That's coming out. This
Oh,
is their,
these are
these are the trees that they're
Oh,
removing.
These
This
are the
is-
trees
gotcha.
that are being
Yes,
removed.
this is
Okay.
just to show our due diligence that we did require them to do the tree survey.
Okay.
And there's 3 pages of them, so there's the 3 phases.
So this is it.
How did
So this is it. Caliber, so this, since this is this a regular
This is.
base code development?
Right.
And so they're a caliber inch replacement or
Yes.
equivalent, okay.
It's gonna stretch all the way over to Warrensburg, wow.
And all those houses would be gone in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
These you don't need to approve, they're just for information.
Gone as in sold, is that what you're saying?
They've started construction on it.
Yep, we started selling.
Oh, yeah, this is north now, yeah, okay, I get it. Wow, yeah.
Good, are we happy
Yeah.
with that?
Yeah. Happy with the counting.
And last is Ohio page. This is just what they're going to remove. Basically, they're building new dormitories across the front. This is Liberty Street. This is right on top of the hill where the two crosswalks are. They're going to be removing all these trees. There's some changes as to, they may not be adding a parking lot. They're kind of on the fence on some things of what they're doing, but this was the preliminary plan. These trees are all coming out. I can't remember if I included in the packet their arborists.
Yeah.
Yes, a very detailed list. yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a lot of trees, a lot of big trees.
So it's a lot of
Yeah,
big trees. So do they have the same stipulations as
They
any
do.
other builder that's?
Yeah, so
Yes.
this is,
This was,
that's why that's the piece that I printed out.
I was
And
gonna say, I
think
could
it's
read
this.
yours.
Yeah.
this says Village Apartments on it.
Oh, is it? Oh, man, that's not the right one then. Never mind. I didn't print the whole packet.
Oh, okay.
It was multiple pages, if I recall.
Yeah, I think I thought I had sent the actual to you, and I just wanted you
No,
to see.
City Council approved it last night, and
That's it.
that included a parking lot of 150, so.
Yeah,
it-
so they are gonna do-
So all these, there's some beautiful old majestic trees. Oh, I'm so sad to see them all gone, but.
Yeah.
So Tom, is the long-term plan, are these old dorms gonna be replaced?
Yes, phase one,
Oh.
new senior housing, phase two, Thompson and Bashford will be demolished. And there will be additional new residential units
Okay.
put in.
It's too bad about the trees.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, that's a lot.
they will plant other ones, but one problem I have with Wesleyan, I mean, that's my employer, I teach here, so, they may remove a tree today, but God knows when they will replace it, maybe next year, maybe in 10 years, so there's a gap, and that irks me a little bit.
They can't be
Um,
held to the same standards.
Well, sure, but the time, there's a timeline involved. And I don't think we enforce that, we are not,
We're not.
aggressive enough about it. It's up to them,
Hmm.
Well, I can see them, if you say these two older dorms are gonna be demolished, they could turn this into green space and then eventually plant trees. I don't know what the plan is, but is that gonna be?
Yeah,
green
there will be a
space?
quad,
Yeah.
some green space, but,
Yeah.
not too many trees.
Yeah.
It's more like maybe for, recreation,
concrete
frisbee
or-
throwing or
Yeah.
something. But it's a huge campus, there are trees everywhere,
Right.
and they do plant little trees here and
But
there.
these are so visible, that's the
Yes.
sad part.
Yeah,
Plenty of complaints about that when it happens.
yeah.
It's like down on 23 2 years
Mhm,
ago.
mhm, yeah.
All those trees came down.
Yeah.
Everybody was fired up.
Hmm.
So in your report, it has their arborists that they had go through, and for the most part, I did not include mine when I went through and checked
I
it all.
didn't see.
But I actually, he was counting some trees that I did count them. So their caliper count is larger on their report than it is on the
Than it
one
is
I
on
did
yours.
for the rating of them, so.
Well, I guess we can't complain.
I found-
When,
I
do you know when
found-
they're gonna begin this?
I do not. It's still kind of up in the air as far as. when
Well,
they
it was
actually-
approved last night, they will start construction in the fall, so they hope to open them, the first two dormitories by next fall. Fall in the year from now.
So
So,
yeah,
yeah.
in a couple months, yeah.
Okay.
But there could be delays, anything is possible.
Are those gonna be similar to the housing that's across the street?
No, those are small, on Rowland, they are small living units. These are 3-story buildings. Very compact and, long line of them.
Traditional house.
Yeah.
Well, but they look pretty modern,
Sure, on the
unique,
outside, nice, but
and, yeah.
the function there is still traditional.
Yes, that's correct.
This Get approval?
No,
Okay,
this is just,
didn't think so.
was just for the tree survey, because we haven't seen the
Yeah,
final.
we are not
plans either.
approving anything yet.
So.
Okay. Bill?
All right. Do we have anything else, Doug?
That's it?
All right, very good. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Sorry, that's your one.